You are Earth, all green land and blue water, and layers of red rock with just the right accents of wispy white clouds and snow covered peaks. How do you stay so, well, pretty? It hasn't been easy, and I didn't always look this way. Beauty like this took millions of years, 4.5 million to be exact, and a lot of pain. Pain? You wouldn't believe how I have suffered. I have been pummeled and pounded, blasted and bombarded, fried, flooded, and frozen over. Gee, that's terrible. How did it begin? First, there was a big noisy explosion of hot minerals and gases, and the sun and planets formed. You wouldn't have recognized me. I was nothing but a big fireball covered with melted rock. Then I got pounded with hunks of metal and rock from outer space that made big gouges, holes, and craters all over me. Ouch! Yeah, but things were only beginning. Gravity pulled the heaviest stuff, hot iron, down into my center. It's still there, only it's solid now, and on top, a crust started to form. You mean like a bread crust? No, more like a skin. As it cooled, it cracked, and the cracks are still there in my crust. But now you have given them a name, the edges of tectonic plates. These cracks turned out to be very helpful. How? Because volcanic eruptions bubbled through them, lava flowed and built new land. Gases came belching out, forming the atmosphere. Of course, you couldn't breathe it then. It was like a big, wet, smelly blanket wrapped around me. But it paved the way. Paved the way for what? Water, the wet stuff. That damp, smelly gas made things so moist that it didn't take much, maybe a bunch of ice comets hit me or something, to make the atmosphere completely saturated. 100% humidity. In other words, millions of years of bad hair days? No, rain. Loads of it. Tons of it. Pouring down and cooling things off. But not too much. It was still pretty warm on Earth. I'll bet. But if everything was underwater, where did the continents come from? They came from under the ocean. Magma under my crust seeped and squeezed its way up to form islands. More and more islands formed, so many that they all crowded together and formed one super big continent. Only one continent? I thought there were 7. Back then, there was just one great big one. Anyway, before long, about 3.5 billion years ago, I had water and oxygen. The oxygen was made by tiny creatures who used sunlight to make energy. Without them, all the life at that time couldn't have flourished the way it did. Plants, animals, dinosaurs, little mammals. Then one day something big hit me. Could have been a meteor. That sounds like trouble. The worst kind of trouble. A mass extinction wiped out most of the large animals on Earth. Acid rain dimmed the sun, it got cold and then icy, and well, that's history. I bet you are glad that violent part of your history is over. Over? It's never over. Earth is in constant change. Every day I am peppered with space rocks. If that's not enough, I am being scoured and sculpted and cut by the wind. And water's the strongest force. It can cut through solid rock, given enough time. So how come you're not as flat as a pancake with all these forces grinding at you? Because rocks are constantly being pushed up to the surface by my constant movement and shifting. Think of it as kind of a facelift. Anyway, that's the story of my life. push and pull, wear and tear. It's my story and I am sticking to it. Actually, I am stuck with it. Any idea what's ahead for Earth? Oh, another catastrophe. Collision, ice age something. Yikes! When do you think it's going to happen? Could be any time, or could be in a few million years. Hard to tell. But meanwhile, where can I get a really big, really heavy duty hard hat?